Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. Let me get my camera in place. I just bumped my camera. Look at this magic clicker we got down here. The wonders of modern technology, the scrolling Instagram account. Head over there, guys, and follow me if you can. The reason why I post that up is if your questions don't go through, it's not me. It's YouTube. YouTube doesn't work so great. So appreciate you guys joining me. Welcome to Massive Iron Live. I'm here every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Be here, ready, locked and loaded with your questions. Let's have a party. Let's have a Friday party. No one wants to work anyway. I sure don't. But here I am working, right? So let me know where you guys are from, how things are going, what you're crushing today. Post up your questions. If you're new here, don't be shy. There are no dumb questions, just stupid questions, awkward questions, weird questions, questions I probably don't want to hear. Just kidding. It's all humor. Nothing serious. So before we get into the questions, if your question doesn't appear, try rephrasing it or posting it differently, or head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman, slide into my DM and I'll answer your question. If you want more help, okay, here's a commercial. Head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. Coaching, $80 a month. No one's gonna beat it. I coach for a living. I don't mess around. I'm with my clients every single day. I just worked for 5 hours before doing this on client programs and client messages. And most coaches, a lot of the coaches, they aren't really coaching. They're doing the weekly check-in thing. I'm with you every single day. So check that out at superlivingtoday.com. And we have a nutrition seminar coming up with Faz. So I posted about that on my Instagram. Stay tuned. Stay tuned with that. You can head over to my website, Super Living Today, and search seminar. All right, let's dive into things, shall we? Stein made the announcement earlier this morning on Team Massive, and if you want to join Team Massive, there you go. And if you're not on Team Massive, you're missing out. Stein made the announcement that he will probably not be around as much on Friday, so it's a free-for-all to see who gets the first comment, and Paul X gets it today. So, big news in case you guys didn't hear, Louie Simmons, I got to get that dog hair off there because it triggered somebody this week. I made a video and had a little dog hair and a couple flecks of like beard, stuff. Oh, there's some over there. And it triggered somebody. Like I'm supposed to come on all polished and perfect, like, it's like some guy in the nightly news. Forget that. This is Massive Iron Live. But if in case you haven't heard, Louie Simmons passed away, age 74. And I was a bit surprised. I didn't know, I didn't know if he was in bad health or really anything about it. So I was a little bit surprised to hear that. All right, so I'm going to start doing this moving forward, and I posted this earlier. Anyone who posts a question before Massive Iron Live starts, and I usually announce it, I get the link up a couple hours earlier, is going to get a chance to win a free t-shirt. So if you get in early from now on, you get a chance to win a free shirt. And today, I'm going to read the comments, and you can see they're time-stamped. You don't get to see the timestamp, but I do. So I'll be picking one as soon as Massive Iron Live is done. So Paul X, what's your favorite color? And I said, Paul X says, I broke the internet. My response to Paul was, Paul's trying to date me with that question. Not date me as in like old, but that's like a question you ask when you're, like 18, like what's your favorite color? I don't really have a favorite color. My favorite color really is time off and being able to watch a movie with my wife. How's that? And Paul said, Paul beat me. All right. Rob McLean, best way to work up to a 3x5 trap bar deadlift session. Really, all you got to do is nail your warm-ups. There's nothing really more to it than that. let's say you're starting with 275. You would do bar by 10, something like bar by 10, 135 by 8, 185 by 5, 225 by 3, and you should be good to go. A little bit of a ramp up. Other than that, not much you need to do. Chris, hey, big, hairy, ugly dude. With overhead press, when fatigued, one side moves up quicker and bar is uneven. I still have a few reps in the tank. Is that okay or a problem? That's actually a pretty normal issue when it comes to pressing and rowing. One arm is going to be stronger than the other. What I typically recommend on unilateral work is stop the set when the weak arm is giving out. So if you're doing dumbbell bench and the weak arm's your left and it wants to go kaput at like rep 8, but your right arm has a couple reps in the tank, stop the set at the level the weak arm doesn't want to work. On dumbbell rows, for example, I always do the weak arm first. And if the weak arm goes kaput at 8 reps, then I stop the right arm at 8. So I use the weak arm as the one that leads the progression dance, if that makes sense. Eric, is a clicking, no pain in the outer shoulder tricep area while overhead pressing something to worry about? It's definitely not normal. I can't say that in my 37 years of lifting, I've had a lot of similar questions. It would definitely be something I would ask a doctor about. It sounds like maybe you have something wrapped around something that is kind of clicking when you move, like some sort of very minor impingement. If it's not causing you pain, you're probably okay. It doesn't sound like a nerve impingement, so you're probably okay. It could be something like a calcium growth or a tendon wrap, bumping against a calcium growth. It's really hard to say. It's probably safe. I'm not a doctor, if you don't have pain, but I would probably still get it checked out. 3 Days Grace, do you recommend any additional mobility work? I am no mobility expert, okay? I don't like to get in the world of mobility. Personally, it bores the living crap out of me, but I'm a lifter and a runner, and I'm not saying it doesn't have value, so don't misunderstand me. It just bores me, and one thing a trend I see on the internet is there's a million mobility experts popping up, and they got all these protocols of all this crap to do before your workout. Look, do your damn workout. Get in, do your workout. If you want to do mobility work, I'm not a fan of doing it before your workout. You're in there to build muscle and build strength, and someone might disagree with me. But on top of that, a lot of people are doing mobility work when they don't need to do mobility work. Like I get a lot of people who say, hey, I can't hit depth on squats. I think I should do mobility work. It's generally not your mobility. It's your squat form that needs work. So don't assume you need mobility work. It's all the rage right now. All the cool kids are doing it, but don't assume you need it. In this industry, we have a history of creating solutions for problems that don't exist because it can be very profitable. So, just get your form down. And then, if you really feel you need mobility work, have fun with it. Just don't waste like all this time before your workout. Get in, do your workout. Stein, hey folks, happy Friday. How's it going, Stein? Why do people training for bodybuilding look so much more muscular than those that train for strength? Not actually the case, Stein. Not actually the case. If you go to a meet, and if you look at the power lifters, there's a lot of muscle there. There's a lot of muscle there. It's just not the case. I mean, you can get pretty strong, without training specifically for bodybuilding, but you're still going to be relatively muscular. I would say that powerlifters on average look more muscular than the average guy in the gym. So I don't think it's the case. I think we're looking at the top level guys, like the bodybuilders who are, doing injections and human growth hormone, all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know what they do. It's just outside of my world especially, but I think we're looking at that. When I was competing, the big guys like the Lilla Bridges, Paul Carter, et cetera, they all had tons of muscle, tons of muscle. They just carried around more fat. They didn't look super lean. So in my experience, that's not the case at all. In my experience, if anything, the average natural power lifter has more base muscle mass than the average gym rat. James, what's the lowest daily calories you've had to put a client on to lose weight and the highest to gain weight? Good question. And I'm going to caveat things, okay? Because in the world of coaching, we have to go on what the client says. So sometimes you have clients that are under counting calories, and maybe not on purpose. They just think a portion of pasta is like this, right? When a portion of pasta is like the size of your fist. So we have to kind of go on what the client is saying. I've had some big guys claim they're not losing weight at 1,800. And I got to tell you, generally, there's something else going on, something that we need to work through, fix. Either it's not tracking everything, not tracking bits and bytes, not tracking alcohol, feeling shame about binging, so on and so forth. But legit, probably 1,800, 1,800, especially for sedentary men that, aren't moving a lot. For women, and this problem exists a lot for men and women and over 40. For women, if they sit at their desk job and don't get a lot of activity, they're lucky if they will struggle to lose weight a lot of times at 1,200, 1,250 calories. And that seems shocking. You have a lot of bullshit advice on the internet from female fitness trainers who are telling these women they're under eating, they're under moving typically. So great shirt. Another Friday, another episode. Thank you. I appreciate everybody's support. We're closing in on 100,000 subscribers. Can you believe that? Mike McClellan, best advice for training with minor injuries or limitations. The best thing is to continue to do your program, but to not do the exercises that bother you. Like I had a client this week who can't do deadlifts for whatever reason. And they asked, what should I do in their place? Probably nothing. Probably just go in, do what you can do. Keep the momentum rolling on what you can do, and then move on. Now, when you feel like you're in recovery from a minor injury, give it a little bit more time and space than you want. Don't assume that just because it feels good, it is 100% ready to go. That can be a big mistake. When you are recovering from a minor injury, a lot of times it can be 2 days afterwards and you feel like, hey, I'm doing great, right? And then you go in the gym and something acts up again. So understand you might need a little bit more time and space than you think. Christos, what's your opinion about ab workouts? Should they be performed daily? No. That's the abs should be trained like everything else, with a reasonable amount of challenging volume per week. Abs are a smaller muscle group, meaning they're not going to be super prominent. They're going to be hard to grow, and they're going to take a lot of work to make them thick. So doing your basic compounds is going to go a long way to set the table or set the foundation. But daily, absolutely not. You don't need high volume. You need stuff that's going to challenge your core or bring it up in strength. And you certainly don't need fluff and pump stuff. That's just an absolute waste of time. Rob McLean, do you think the recommended 150 minutes a week of cardio is enough or too much? For my clients, here's what I recommend. For anybody, here's what I recommend. I have a step goal. If your steps are below 3,000 a day or at 3,000 a day, check your pulse. Make sure you're alive. Make sure the heart's beating. If you're at 5,000, you need to that's a good minimum goal, but you need to step it up a little bit. Try to aim for 7,500 steps a day. We're talking outside of cardio. Beyond that, 100 minutes a week is a good goal. Is it enough or too much? No, it's not too much. Do the amount of cardio you like. I like running, so I do more than that. But don't force it. Just try to get a minimum of 60 minutes a week. 60 minutes a week. Sorry, not 100. In addition to your quality steps, and that's really all you need, in my opinion. Big Spoon Bear, that's not the Eric Redbeard guess of anyone could beat Stein. It would be the great Eric Redbeard. Do you think Eddie Hall was trained by Coconut Crab to box Thor? The fight was appalling. I don't know, man. I mean, I've seen some amateur fights, and it's like one guy can just have a little bit more natural ability. Like, y'all remember my old partner, Mark Lobliner, got into boxing, and this is not a dig on Mark. It's a reality. Mark is one of the most unathletic people I've ever seen in my life. To watch him run or box is like a comedy show. It's just not a dig on you, Mark, but good grief, you're probably the most unathletic person I've ever seen. But Mark still won his fight, right? But I think if you put Mark up against somebody a little bit more naturally athletic, they would, just pummel him. So I think sometimes these guys are good athletes. That's not what I'm saying. But one guy can be more naturally athletic outside of picking heavy rocks off the ground, if that makes sense. Christian Duvall. Do we need to take into account overlapping muscle groups when training for hypertrophy, chest versus tris? No, you just need a wide variety of, if you have a good quality, wide variety of exercises, there's going to be overlap. A good hypertrophy program is going to be like shotgun blast here, right? We don't want to put the last thing you want to do is try to put every exercise into one body part. That's one of the worst things you can do in bodybuilding. That's one of the worst mindsets you can have in bodybuilding. Like, bench is not a chest exercise. It's primarily a chest exercise, but it works other muscle groups. Overlap will come naturally when you have the right exercises in place, and it's a good overlap. So if you have barbell bench, dumbbell bench, whatever variation you want, then dips and push-ups, superset, machine chest press, and maybe pec deck, you're going to have a wide variety of exercises. And if you do that for every muscle group, that's where the magic of hypertrophy comes in. You have a broad shot group, you're making everything stronger, and you have some good quality overlap, if that makes sense. Big Spoon Bear, sorry, forgot to say hello. No problem at all. Amanda P, how to properly brace core for squats. Good question. One of the common things I see on squats is somebody not bracing and breathing. So if you've ever watched a squat and you've seen somebody, visually, take a breath, set, to after that, you want to take a big breath and you want to get your core, you want to unrack the weight, get your breath, and then brace your core like somebody's going to punch you in the stomach. And that's a good start as you descend, if that makes sense. Nicholas Ingrata, how can I track my bulk weight when I gain 2 to 5 fluctuation every day? What you do is you get a weight tracker app, and you look for trends on the graph. And that'll become very, very easy to spot over time. Outside of that, if you're not tracking on something you need to track on something that can graph your progress, because you'll see ups and downs, but if you have a graph, you'll be able to see a trend. Big Spoon Bear, I love the metal intro. Little point of trivia, that's me playing some random guitar riff in my home recording studio probably 25 years ago. Kanaxanaxavu. Sorry, we're just being silly. Noxaval. Hey, a best abdominal exercises. There are really no best. You want something in the mix that can bring up base core strength, Like if you can't do a plank for 15 seconds or 30 seconds, your base core strength is a little bit weak. If you can't do 10 to 15 ab wheel rollouts, your base core strength is weak. So you want to do those for starters. Beyond that, you want to do something where you can add resistance in. There are no best exercises, but there are quality exercises. Christos, dream travel destination. Well, Christos, I have to say, Scotland is probably my favorite country that I've been to, and someplace I've been looking at for possibly, part-time retirement home. And I'll never retire. I'll be like Louie. I'll keep working, but just refocusing what I do or how I approach things. But there's some countries I'd like to see. Wales, Iceland. I've been through the airport on New Zealand. I'd like to see New Zealand a little bit more of Europe, etc. David, Columbus on here. Here, sad day for Louie and West Side Barbell. Indeed. Giuseppe, pyramid training, how effective can it be? Any style of training can be effective. It's not the style of training that is the magic. It's how you work it. The higher you go, the more fatigue you'll get when it comes to heavy weight. If you're talking about pyramiding up in weight, like going heavier and heavier and heavier, I'm generally not a fan of that. I'm a fan of ramping up to your heaviest stuff and then doing back offs, mostly because you're doing your back off work or you're doing your heavy work with the least amount of fatigue, which makes sense from a performance and a form standpoint. You do not want to do heavy work while fatigued. And then your back off work, you will feel your central nervous system will be rocking a little bit more, and it will feel lighter. So it makes more sense to start heavy and do back offs. Christos, tips to eat well on a budget. So primarily, you need to get that big old 20-pound bag of rice in a rice cooker. You need to get eggs, like the 30 or whatever pack from Walmart. You need to look in the freezer section. They have these big, huge frozen bags of berries. I have blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries, and good nutrient value. And they're pretty inexpensive. They're huge bags. You can get a couple of those cheap. Use a little bit of those each day. You can make protein sludge and add them in. Protein sludge is basically put protein powder in a bowl, mix a little water till it gets sludgy, and then add in berries, or you can use it with Greek yogurt. So we got the rice, we got the eggs, we got the nutrients from the berry mix. Then you will kind of look through your frozen food aisle for veggie deals. Now look, we're going to be adults here, right? There's going to be some veggies in that frozen food section you might not like, but they're $1 a piece. You can get 10 bags for $1 or whatever. And check this out, because you're going to find something. Add a little salt to them, steam them, add a little soy sauce, something to flavor them, and just choke them down, and you'll be good to go. So that's what I would do for veg. Now for meat, if you want some variety beyond eggs, watch your frozen food section, or watch your meat section, because they always have deals. Something's always, a couple days out. So if you plan, they're trying to get rid of it. So watch for that stuff. And, all you need is a little Frank's Red Hot, and you can basically choke down anything, right? So that would be my best advice. You got your rice, you got your eggs, you got your cheap meat, you got your berries, and you got your cheap veg. D&D, please head over to Dungeons and Dumbbells channel and subscribe. Late for the show, but I made it here. Thank you, sir. Paul X said the color question was the best I had. No worries, Paul. I was just busting your balls, all in good fun. Best snacks when you want to eat something but don't have time for a full meal. Um, so we're looking at a short period of time, right? So it needs to be convenient. Calories, basically, if you keep like macadamia nuts on hand or some kind of nuts where you can grab a handful and hit them. Um, these prepackaged protein shakes, like by Pure Protein, where they come in the little small cartons, those you can just rip off 24, 25 grams of protein. So you keep macadamia nuts around for quick calories. You keep like the Pure Protein drinks around for quick protein. Greek yogurt is pretty easy to rip off. And when I mean rip off, I mean wolf it down, right? As my mom used to say. Bananas are quick and easy to eat. Bananas are a lot quicker and easier to eat than like an orange or an apple, for example. So that's just some choices. If you guys have any other snack ideas, post them up. String cheese is something I used to do. If you let it soften a little bit, a couple hours outside of the fridge, and it's nice and soft, you can usually slam that pretty good. And you got some good nutrition and some good protein. Will Nichols says, rest in peace, Louie. And Mickey, hey, big, hairy, ugly dude, when doing long runs with weight training, do split matter? Do the bro split give me longer recovery time? Well, I will say this, and it's a good question. You don't really want to run before squats or deadlifts day, or before legs and deadlift day. I'm not a fan of that. So if you're doing like a full body, it can kind of be limiting in how you run. You can, if you're, look, short runs, you're fine. Short runs, you're fine, right? But we're talking long runs here. So I would not tag team that with a full body. With an upper lower, let's say you're training 4 days a week, you have 2 posterior days. You could do the long runs after the posterior days and on off days. It's possible. So an upper lower properly set up or a bro split would work. Invisible. And before I read Invisible's questions, we're about 30 minutes in, guys. Post up your questions. If you're new here, please do not be shy. Post up your question. I'd be happy to help you out. And if you're a little bit shy and you don't want to go public with your question, head over to Instagram, @BenTheBarman, and slide into my DM. Invisible, how fast can our metabolism adapt during a bulk? I've been gradually increasing my calories and made progress in the gym, but lost weight. A very good question. Now, calories in, calories out, great, right? It's the gospel. But I have noticed something when it comes to transition periods. And I cannot explain it completely scientifically, but I believe there is, a slight hormonal transition period. I don't believe the body works straight like a light switch, like 1 calorie over stores fat, 1 calorie under goes straight to fat burning. This can be a little bit controversial, so understand it's just my opinion. But I believe, like, from what I've seen, the body, if you start to go in a calorie deficit, it might take a few days for the body to transition hormonally into fat burning mode or into full-on fat storage mode. I think the body is better suited to look for long-term trends, and then it'll set itself up to handle those long-term trends. So I believe there can be some transitionary something, some big word, a period where the body just isn't a light switch, like one calorie over, 1 calorie under, stored fat, whatever. So here's why I say that, and hang with me. I have had over the last 2 years, probably 3 or 4 clients that we would lower their calories from a bulk to a cut, and they would get down to, say, 2,200, 2,300 on a cut, and they were losing weight. So the cut is done, and we're going to start, they're losing like 2 pounds a week or whatever. The cut is done. We're going to start building up calories. We're going to start adding calories in. So let's say we have the 2,200 calorie guy. We move up to 2,600, and guess what? That week he loses 2 more pounds, whereas before he could not lose 2 pounds a week at 2,600, so we had to slowly lower to 2,400 to 2,200. Does that make sense? So we bring him up to 2,600. He's still losing weight for 7 to 10 days. So we decide to bring him up to 2,850. He still loses weight. I've had a couple of guys where I've had to raise them close to 3,800 calories after a cut just to get them back on a bulk, back on maintenance. So it was an odd thing, but I see this happen fairly consistently with folks that have a really good metabolism. They're eating well, they're training hard, they're getting in plenty of movement. So, I'll just kind of leave it at that. If you're losing weight, give it about 7 to 10 days at that calorie level, and then don't do a bump more than 200 to 250. Bilal, happy Friday. He got my t-shirt. I posted that on my Insta stories. You should follow him because he's a freak. Jeremy, what's the best way to do cardio for the heart, cardio health if I do bodybuilding style training? Probably the easiest, lowest impact way, the one that's most friendly on your joints, since we're doing muscle building style training, is some form of elevation. Forget sprints. I'm not a fan of sprinting at all. That doesn't say some of you can't handle sprints. You can, but I just feel explosive movements, the risk is too much for the reward. So some form of elevation training, Stairmaster, that gets your heart up without beating the crap out of your body, without pounding your body. Or you can go get outside, even better. Find a local hill where you can do hill repeats and walk up and down the hill. So walking up the hill, your heart is going to race. It's going to elevate. So you're getting in some good conditioning. Walking down the hill, you get a little bit of recovery time and you can repeat. That's one of my favorite ways. So you can also do step-ups. If you don't have one of those aerobic steps, you can do step-ups at home. Step up to a box, step down. Step up with your right foot. Step up with your left foot. Step down with your left foot. Step down with your right foot. Step up with your left foot. Step up with your right foot. You get my beat, my fat beat here? You can do step-ups at home. That's a great way to do things. And plus, if you do them after leg day, just don't do that stuff before leg day. Allow yourself a little bit of recovery. But those are some simple solutions that won't beat up your body, beat up your joints. They're not high impact, and they're really good for getting the heart rate up. Bilal, if someone maintains their weight at around 3,700 calories, will they lose approximately 1 pound? It's really not that simple. Everybody's different a little bit. That would be a good place to start, but it's not simply math. It can have to do, look, ultimately, very few people are very consistent on their diet. It's the exception, not the norm, meaning if you're going to nail 3,200 within 50 calories a day. So, it can be hard to tell at times because inconsistency is the norm rather than consistency, but it'd be a good place to start. And I would say I would be surprised if you didn't lose more than a pound a week at 3,200. Rico, hope everyone is doing well. Thank you, Rico, and I appreciate you joining in. Kai, I'm going to miss Louie Simmons. I think he was an asset to the community. And, we need more guys like him in strength training, more guys thinking, providing alternative methods. Did I particularly find Westside useful in my training? Some concepts. But that's why we have different ideas. We get to try different things, see what works for us. Louie had a lot of good things to contribute to the strength world, and that's the best testament to his life's work that you can really get. Should we take a day off each week from steps? I think you should have one day a week where you have SOAT, sit on ass time. I think that's good mentally and physically, just to have one day where you cannot worry about steps, where you don't worry about cardio, where you don't worry about lifting. I think that's a good idea. Chad, my mom said she heard working out for over 30 minutes would cause her to gain weight because of her age and stress to the body. This is nonsense. Like, that's some cortisol nonsense stuff. I will tell you, Chad, as someone that has coached plenty of women over 40, the opposite issue is the big issue, not moving enough. Like, your mom needs to get 7,500 steps a day, and your mom needs to get an hour of cardio a week and do some resistance training in addition. The cortisol stress is not going to damage her body and her metabolism. What it will do, it will help fix her body and metabolism. Because I don't know your mom, and I'm not calling her a slug, but I'm saying most folks over 40 have become slug-like. They're less active, so their hormones, start to go to crap. Their food choices start to go to hell, and it's actually quite the opposite. I asked because I've been losing weight and it feels less fatigue taking a day off. Absolutely, take a day off. Stuck on bench 5x5. If that's strong lifts, check out my programs, right? Head over to superlivingtheday.com. I have a bench course, and I have plenty of bench programs. Try one of those. And done deal. Where's your weight been? Have you been gaining weight consistently the last 6 months? Have you been gaining 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds a month or not? And if you need help, coaching, $80 a month. Now, look, I'm not only somebody that's going to be with you every single day, but I'm also one of the less expensive. How can I be one of the less expensive coaches and somebody that's with you every day? Because I do this for a living. A lot of these other coaches do not coach for a living. They want to take 20 guys at $200 or 10 guys at $200 a month and work part-time. That's fine, right? But $80 a month, you guys are spending that on supplements and junk food already. If you want good results, take a break, take 3 months, work with me, and I will get you on track. Eric, do you like reverse grip bench? Nah. And I definitely don't like reverse grip overhead press. You have this weird internal shoulder rotation. Reverse grip bench, there was some hype about it years ago because there was a couple power lifters that were able to do it for a lot of weight. In general, if you can do it and it feels natural to you, then give it a whirl as an exercise option. But in general, most of us can't do it, and it's just not worth considering. Big Bill Monty, always something good to contribute on Team Massive. Hello, everyone from DC. On seated shoulder press, I have trouble keeping my hips in place and move further under the weight as the set progresses. Well, that's fine. That's your body telling you something, like you're not in a good leverage position. Is this a machine shoulder press, or is this a barbell press? On the barbell press, is the back about 70 degrees, or is it too steep? If it's too steep, you're going to naturally want to get that butt a little bit forward, and that's fine. So I'd have to know a little bit more, Bill. Have you used DMMA and pre-workouts before? I have. I've tried pretty much every pre-workout. I'm not a pre-workout junkie, but I've just been around that long. And there's been some pre-workouts that I've tried that really gave you a quality level of focus. But at the end of the day, I don't have a lot of experience with pre-workouts with funky ingredients. Let's put it that way. Salvador, Big hairy ugly dude. I'm trying to build up my cardiovascular performance for firefighting. How should I program cardio for performance? How many times a week? 3 times a week is generally okay. And one of those can be moderate, like Stairmaster, elliptical, nothing too intense. The other 2 days, you want to probably be doing something that gets your heart rate elevated. You can do surging, so you can get on a treadmill and you could walk for 45 seconds and then run for 15 seconds. Cardio, like conditioning, firefighting is probably going to be short bursts, like not long-term conditioning. So I would probably do short burst training. You can do it on the elliptical. You can do it on a treadmill. I would do periods where you do 30, 40, 45 seconds of normal speed, and then 15 to 30 seconds of all out as fast as you can safely, and alternate those for about 20, 25 minutes a couple times a week, 2-3 times a week. That'll be a good way to get your heart rate up and improve your cardiovascular performance. You could also start running if you want. That's not a bad idea as well. You can do running and surging, where you run normal speed for 45 seconds, and then faster for 15 seconds, run normal for 45 seconds, run faster for 15. That's a basic level of surging for the average individual that's not trying to invest hours upon hours on cardio. KO, what's going on, KO? Thanks for joining in. Louie died last night. Indeed, he did. Troy S. Hey, boss. Fazlift's recent video said that not lowering deads under control is a bad idea and may reduce gains. I'm absolutely against lowering your eccentrics. You want to ride it down. I'm not a fan of that at all. And I haven't seen Faz's video. So I will say when it comes to hypertrophy, I'm not a fan of controlling dumbbell rows, barbell rows, or deadlifts at all. In coaching, I see far too many lower back issues. I believe if you want to achieve hypertrophy, it's not a requirement at all. And your time is better spent on exercises that aren't going to punish the lower back. I'm not commenting on Faz's video because I have not seen it, but I do not agree at all, and nor will I ever, and no one will ever sway me that a controlled eccentric on a deadlift is a good idea for hypertrophy. Kankara, how do you know how many calories I need on a day-to-day basis? First off, what you need to do is take probably 7 to 10 days and track everything on MyFitnessPal and weigh yourself first thing in the morning. Weigh yourself first thing in the morning after urinating. The only way to tell how many calories you need each day is to watch what the scale does over time and then find your calorie average and make an adjustment. How to measure the right way to know I'm in a deficit. Same thing. Track your calories, take a weekly average, watch what the weight does. If the weight's not moving, drop weekly average by 200 and reassess for a week. Paul X, could you talk about which movements should have warm-up sets? Very good question. This is something I probably never made a video about. I made warm-up set videos, but never a broader approach. So basically, when you go into the gym, you're going to do your big lift first. So you want to warm up appropriately. That's where you have your 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, warm-ups, depending on how strong you are. Someone's going to say 6. When I was at my strongest on deads, I would do bar by 10, 135 by 5, 225 by 3, 315 by 1, 405 by 1, 455 by 1, 495 by 1, 545 by 1. So I would do 8 sets of warm-ups to get my central nervous system on track. So you're going to do an appropriate warm-up for your first big compounds. Now, the second lift, usually it depends on your strength levels. So on bench day, after I would get done with bench, if I was doing dumbbell bench for 140s or 150s, I would probably do 2 warm-up sets just because that's a lot of weight to jump into, and it's a different style of movement. It's a different type of movement pattern. It's more unstable, right? So I would typically do 50s for 6, maybe 100s for 4, and then I would jump up. If so if you're moving from a barbell to dumbbell, um, if you're moving from squat to leg press, same thing. You probably want to get a couple warm-up sets as you move up in weight to get a feel for the exercise, because it's a completely different movement pattern. If you were moving from bench to close grip bench, which is a similar movement pattern, then you really don't need any warm-ups, really. But different movement patterns, you want to have a couple for a big compound lift. You want to have at least a couple warm-up sets. Now, if I'm moving from something like dumbbell bench to a machine press, generally I'll just do one warm-up, moderate, light to get exercise, or in some cases I won't do any. So this week I did bench, and then I went to plate loaded machine chest press, and I didn't do any, right? Because I don't feel they were needed. I was pretty warmed up, and it's a stable exercise, right? A machine's a stable exercise. Something like dips, I would do a light warm up, and then usually all my isolations, I like to do a feeler, light, moderate rep warm up to get the feel for the exercise, to make sure everything feels good. There's nothing wrong with my elbows, nothing wrong with my shoulders, etc. So I hope that helps a little bit. Brian, tuna pouches are my go-to snack. That's pretty easy to crush. And if choking down dry tuna isn't your favorite, try mixing it in with like sour cream or plain Greek yogurt. You get that creaminess, much easier to slob down, slob. Chad, how do you do reverse hypers at the start of your workout or at the end? Or should you do? I'm sure somebody out there advocates it, and I'm sure they have a reason. Maybe it's some, working some neural pathway or something, but no, I don't. I like to jump into my compounds first. I don't believe that something like this isn't a requirement. It could potentially be a tool, and it might potentially have value for some lifters, but in general, I'm not going to do them at the start of my workout. I'm going to do the big lifts, and I wouldn't necessarily put them at the end. I would just put them where they make sense in your programming. Nicholas, do you believe in reverse dieting, or is it just a slow bulk? What I do with my clients, because I know from experience that we need to kind of back things up and let the body adjust a little bit, I like to work things up. So usually I'll have a week that is a step up. So if I had somebody on 2150 calories on a cut, we might go to 2,500 for a week. So we're going to take a little bit of a step up, and then we'll see what the scale does, and then we'll probably hit our final destination after a week. I'm dieting and work from 8 to 6. I also like intermittent fasting, so I usually take my lunch at 3 and have about 300 calories of almonds, chickens, and veggies at 6:30, and usually tuna or cold cuts at 10. That's fine. I'm just looking at this, and it looks pretty low carb. You got veggies, you got some fats. Looks okay. So that looks fine. I'm not a big, I don't overthink, windows when it comes to intermittent fasting. That window is whatever works best for you. So you're basically, eating within 7 hours. Most people do that anyway. That's like noon to 7 or 1 to 8. So it's not unusual. Whatever works for you, really. MG254, I'm eating 250 grams of protein a day. How much should I eat at one time? It doesn't matter. And when should I eat again? It all depends on your eating schedule. I mean, no one can answer this for you. 250 grams of protein a day is okay. You can eat whatever you want at any given time. Don't overthink this stuff. It really is going to come down to average calories and protein intake a day. The body, there's this myth or this nonsense that if you eat too much in one sitting that the body can't digest it. Come on. I mean, what happens is the food is processed in your stomach and it's turned into a substance called chyme in the intestines. And absorption of chyme, or the nutrients in chyme, the body will slow down or speed up digestion based on what it needs. So if it urgently needs protein, it's going to pull that out of the chyme. But your body's very efficient at using the nutrients it has. Don't overthink this stuff. Eat when it's comfortable and natural, and try to be consistent. That's the most important thing. Gary says, I eat about 50 grams a day. Is that protein, Gary? If that's protein, you have a way unbalanced diet. Unbalanced. And it's not great for muscle building either and recovery. But if you're eating, let's say 2,000 or 2,200 calories, that's only like 10% or less from protein. So that's way unbalanced. 200 grams of protein on a 1,200 calorie a day diet. Just make sure you're getting in your fats, because your organs and your brain need fats. And I assume you are. It looks like you are. But carbs, you can cut out. Fats, you want to at least have a reasonable amount of fats in there for brain, skin, organs, etc. And it looks like you're on track with that. Leo, how do you know when you should add or remove sets from an exercise? It has to be intuitive. Like, let's say if you're crushing your sets and you're working hard and you're pushing some sets to the limit and you're progressing regularly and your time in gym is not excessive, and you feel like, hey, I can manage one more set of barbell rows and still progress, and you add a set of barbell rows. If, say, for example, Romanian deadlifts are kicking you hard and you're doing 3 sets, or dumbbell rows are kicking you hard and you're doing 3 sets, and you want to reduce them by 1, then absolutely. So there has to be something going on in your workout. If you're working hard and your time in gym is reasonable, if one exercise is taxing you too much from a cardiovascular standpoint, it's okay to drop 1 set. If you feel like you want to add in another set of another exercise, that's fine. As long as you can continue to progress. Ryan, turning 20 years old today. Happy birthday. Been following you since I was 18. I appreciate your support. Thanks for the knowledge. Any tips on entering my 20s? Wow, where do we start, Ryan? Chase what you love. Chase what you love, and don't tell anybody. Don't listen to anybody that tells you what you should or shouldn't like. Do what you love. Life is short. As far as relationships go, don't just be with somebody because you're lonely. Take time, swim around a little bit, right? I'm not telling you to sleep around. I'm telling you, don't be one of these guys that just gets on a relationship because, somebody has a cool mixtape. Take your time, man. Wait for somebody that's driven on the level you're driven. Rico, are you going to be doing a series like you did with biceps? I am probably going to do 1 video a week like that. I tried in the past putting a series out and doing a video like that every single day, and it usually crashes. So I will be, but it'll probably be 1 video a week. Grip giving up before muscle failure and deadlifts. Use straps or better yet, Versa grips. Simply deadlift more? No. Grip strength. Look, grip strength is a priority, but it should never impact your progress on big lifts. Why is grip strength a bigger priority than getting a big deadlift? Are you trying to arm wrestle a bear? I'm not, I'm not, I'm not trying to slam you, but look, you never, never, never allow a weaker muscle group to impact the progress of a stronger muscle group. That's backwards. If you are passionate about grip strength, do grip strength after you're done doing deadlifts with straps. Period. End of story. If you're passionate about grip strength, if you do not wear straps or VersaGrips, there is probably a 98% chance you're going to pick up elbow tendonitis if you continue to get strong, and then you will really hate how that impacts your grip. So there is no reason not to use grips, VersaGrips, or straps, and the grip strength is a priority. For what reason, right? Why are you going to worry? If you're worried about your grip strength, then do grip exercises. But don't try to, train using the deadlift to train your grip is silly. That's not that. The deadlift has a function and a purpose, and that is to get your deadlift strong and to get your back strong and your posterior chain strong. You are not there to train your grip. You can train your grip after you're done with deadlifts, and I hope that makes sense. ZCP. Is it okay to not quite reach parallel on barbell squats? Not generally. If I use full range of motion on, no, you can't justify not hitting parallel on one exercise because you're doing okay on the other. If you can't hit parallel on barbell squats, there's two cases. Either you're the very rare 1% that just simply can't do it with good coaching, and my wife is actually like that. I can't get her to parallel to save my life, and she's the only person that I've ever not been able to get to parallel. But she's my wife, right? So there might be a little bit of stubbornness there. But generally, if you can't get to parallel, you need a little bit of coaching. You need a little bit of form adjustment. So keep working on that. Big Bill. I'm trying to come up with a program for a woman. Any major differences in terms of volume allocation? Women tend to handle volume better. So, for example, I tried in coaching, you can put a woman on 5x10 on squats, and they'll be like, 4 minutes later, like, I'm done. And then you put them on a 10x10 on squats, and then like 10 minutes, they're like, I'm done. Like, even with progressive overload, women tend to handle volume better. So you might have to program a little bit more volume, or else you'll give a woman a program that a man has, and like 33 minutes into it, they're like, I'm done, right? So that would be the biggest thing I would look at first and foremost. You want to start them too aggressively. Obviously, you want to know your subject and you want to know the person you're training, but no, there's a potential that they will handle a volume a little bit better. Brips, do you do any mobility work for your shoulders? None. Could you recommend anything? Not at all. I'm sorry, Brips, but mobility is nothing I have any passion for, nothing I know anything about. It's just not in my lane, and I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of YouTubers out there. If you ask them a question of something that's not their area of specialty, they'll give you an answer anyway. But I'm going to shoot you straight. I know nothing about it, and it's not my passion. That doesn't mean I am not saying it doesn't have benefit. It's just not my passion. Neil, advice for someone suffering from severe depression caused by my parents in a college course leading me nowhere. Get over it. You got to move on. Look, and I'm not trying to be harsh here. I'm being real. If you have bad depression, seek counseling. I mean, seek some help, get a support system. But beyond that, look, my father was a violent alcoholic. And at some point, you need to detach from people that abuse you, right? Or people that stress you. You need to detach, because if not, you're anchoring yourself to them. And your happiness is reliant on their opinions or what they did to you. You need to detach from that and say, I'm not going to allow this to impact how I live my life. My dad was a very violent alcoholic, And until like age 30, I didn't let go of that. Like I was a victim. You know, my life could have been so much better if it wasn't for my dad. Well, I created a prison and never let go. And I allowed what my dad did as a child to continue to impact me for multiple decades. I allowed that. You have to make the decision to not allow that to take place. Someone hurts you, then they hurt you. Move on from it. Be stronger, right? And if you need counseling beyond that, seek counseling or a support system. And if you're in a college course leading you nowhere, you're a man. Go do what you love. And if someone doesn't like it, you have to move beyond that. It's not their life to live. And if they don't accept it, so what? You know, if it causes family strife, that's the way it's going to be. Because if not, you're in an abusive situation where someone is controlling you and trying to steal your happiness. Slightly inclined skull crushers and reverse grip and reverse bicep curls are part of my 3-day split. In the past, I've had forearm strain. With proper form, is this okay? Absolutely. As long as it treats your body good, any exercise, reasonable exercise is a good choice. One of the reasons why you want a good exercise variety is, for arms, is so you can hit the biceps and triceps from, multiple angles, multiple stressors, that sort of thing. So they're absolutely fine. Just get some good accompanying exercises that are different, but that don't treat your body bad, and you're good to go. How to do tendon strength training. Your tendons will strengthen over time as you do progressive overload. Everything will strengthen. So there's nothing specifically you do. You just get stronger over time, and your tendons will strengthen naturally. Nicholas, I'm taking about 40 to 50 grams of fat a day. Is this enough? 40 to 50 grams is going to be about 360 to 450 calories. And you want probably about at least 20% of your calories from fats. And this isn't a rule. It's a general guideline. So if you're at, let's say, somewhere in the middle of that, around 400 calories of fats, that would be that would be okay at a 2,000 calorie diet or less. If not, you might want to bump it just a little bit. When tracking protein, should I track the protein from pizza and pasta? You track the protein from everything. Everything. On the other hand, you could ask the question, should I track carbs, junk carbs? Well, they provide energy, so yes. Just try, you want to track everything. You're always going to have a small percentage of protein choices that aren't complete or aren't the best, but that's okay. Should I just accept I can't get 8 hours of sleep? Well, in life, all you can do is focus on what you can control. If you're getting to bed, if you're practicing good sleep hygiene, and you're getting to bed at a reasonable time, just do what you can do. That's all you can do in life. Do what you can do. Should you accept defeat on anything? Hell no. Never accept defeat. Keep fighting. James. And before I get moving on, guys, we're about an hour in. Keep the questions coming. I will keep going as long as you have questions. If I miss your questions, head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman, at Ben the Barman. Post them in my DM. If your questions aren't showing, it's not me ignoring you. It's YouTube. So head over to Instagram. Head over to superlivingtoday.com. Sign up for coaching. It's only $80 a month, 3-month commitment. Sign up for Team Massive. Get you a workout. I got tons of workouts over there. Or if you need a custom workout, I do that as well. James, Alpha Destiny said he believes he can bench at least 500 pounds naturally if he trains for another 10 years. And he says he is over an inch of pure arm muscle left to gain. I don't know what his arm size is. Could he hit 500? Yeah. At his body weight, it would be, I don't even know what the all-time natural world record is. But look, I will say this, and this has nothing to do with Alpha Destiny. Getting from 200 to 300 is a complete different story than getting from 300 to 400. And Alpha has got close to, that range. Getting to 400 to 500 will be complete next level. So there's a lot of things he hasn't faced yet. Injuries, overuse injuries, aging, so on and so forth. So am I saying he can't do it? No. What I'm saying is that it'll be a lot more difficult than going from 300 to 400. A lot more difficult. And new challenges will crop up. He's a smart kid. And I call him a kid, not as disrespectful. He's just much younger than me. He's a smart guy. And if anyone can do it, it's him. But I don't like to say someone can or can't get, I don't like to arbitrarily say someone can or can't get it, but I will say it's going to be a complete different journey. Christos, happy Greek Independence Day. Congratulations, Christos. Hope you're having fun celebrating. You picked the wrong house, fool. I have to eat chicken and lentils. Please help. I don't know. I don't know what you mean. Please help make them taste good. Chicken, I take Greek yogurt, sour cream, mix hot sauce with it, make it go down a little bit better. You can bread it with almond flour. And lentils, I don't know what to tell you, man. Lentils are out of my wheelhouse. I'm not really a bean or lentil person. Honestly, if they taste like crapola, just search out like Fit Man Cooks or one of these guys that's really good at recipes and see what you can find out. All right, what do we got here? John Meadows switches exercises weekly in his programs. Isn't that bad? It really depends on the nature of the exercise. If you want to switch from a pec deck to a cable crossover, there's not going to be a lot of impact. So for the average person, completely not necessary. This is a tool, and it's a tool that works for him. But for the average person, I wouldn't recommend it. You got to build a base before you start doing witchcraft like this. You have to build a base on a reasonable exercise selection. All right. Ben. Newer lifters still perfecting form on bench and dumbbell bench. I notice when I go press, if I slightly lift my head off the pad, it feels considerably easier. No problem with that at all. When I benched, I would lift my head up. For a long time, I lifted my head up, especially on the super heavy lifts. No issues with it at all. None at all, as long as you're tight. Orion XS. Poor kid at my gym is doing Ripito 5x5 with a 5 RPE. 5 RPE. You don't even know what a 5 RPE is. Man, I only have time to train at night, but I'm tired then. If I hype up too much, it will affect my sleep. Advice. Well, if you only have time to train at night, you got to train at night. Do what you can do. I mean, you're tired. Yes, I get it. Don't worry. You got to get maybe for a while, you just need to do 2 sets per exercise. Maybe need to chill a little bit with your volume. But the only thing you can do is what you can do. If you can't change that variable, then just continue to focus on progression and ride the storm out. That's really the only advice I can give. Mickey, I've been doing full body for 2 years. If I need to change to a bro split because of long run, how do I mitigate the drawbacks? That's not really program hopping, Mickey. Program hopping is someone that changes programs every 2 weeks because they're like, I'm going to do German volume training this week. Oh, look, a shiny new object. That's not program hopping, really. It's normal if you want to try a different program, mentally every now and then. So there's no drawbacks at all of switching, trying a new program. You've earned the right. Stein, about my question of muscles of powerlifters versus bodybuilders, I only meant the way it looks different. Is it just that people training for bodybuilding are leaner? Well, Stein, for reference, I need to know, are you talking about pro bodybuilding level? When I look at natty bodybuilders and natty powerlifters, they look the same in the off season, exactly the same, especially natties. Now, if you're talking about enhanced guys, they're taking, the bigger guys, they're taking a lot of chems that are going to kind of expand them like a balloon. That sounds like a really dumb thing, but they're working all their minor body parts to the max, where powerlifters are doing more functional, training relative. These, if you're talking about advanced guys, advanced powerlifter and advanced bodybuilder, they're both going to be working on their weaknesses. And the advanced powerlifter is probably not going to be overdoing a lot of rear delt flies or rear delt work or whatever. But if we're just talking about the natural realm, they look exactly the same in the off season, with minor differences. An advanced bodybuilder might reap the rewards, obviously, of all the, training a lagging muscle group for aesthetics, where an advanced powerlifter isn't going to train a lagging muscle group for aesthetics. He could really care. He's going to train it for strength. And you can get a lot stronger, at an advanced level without focusing on hypertrophy, technique improvements, and form improvements, and all kinds of things. But really, in the natural world, they look exactly the same. I think you're using very small percentage of lifters. Is it okay for fitness passions to change? Absolutely. You can do whatever the hell you want on any given day. Absolutely. Wake up every day and do what you want. How to get over your feelings, how to get over feeling behind, feeling you've wasted previous years. We all waste time. Get over it. We all waste time doing something. That's not necessarily a bad thing. You learn something, and no one lives a perfect life. We all have periods where we stall, stagnate, and that's part of being human. So get over it and get on and live and do what you like. Big guy, are rows and bent over rows enough to keep the back from rounding forward due to driving for a living? I wouldn't say enough. I'm not a big fan of one exercise to solve any problem. I would do a battery of exercises, just in a normal hypertrophy program. All right, what do we got? Paul X. Do you distinguish between mobility training and stretching? Honestly, Paul, I don't really give a rip about either of them. I did stretching for a long time for running and lifting, and then I've done a lot without it, and I really don't find any difference, so I don't do it. Mobility work. Am I less mobile now that I'm older? Yeah. Do I worry about it? No, I really don't. I mean, I'm functionally fine. I'd rather be strong first. Let's put it that way. So, mobility work is usually a lot more fancy schmancy stuff. I mean, you look at the fancy schmancy, for those of you from the Chicago or Wisconsin, fancy schmancy mobility training is usually a lot more witchcraft, doing a little bit different stuff. So it's a little bit different than stretching. A lot of people seem to think stretching is important in muscle building. No, it's not. It's not important at all. You don't need any stretching at all to build muscle. I've heard it's okay to throw in a couple sets of curls on any training day, as it won't take away from recovery. It's fine as long as you're progressing. Just don't overload, don't overwork the movement pattern to the point where you pick up injuries. On upper body day, is it okay to just progress on your first set and treat other sets as pump work? it is okay, but as long as you're pushing for max safe reps and progressing. Like, okay, let's say you're doing 185-pound barbell rows, and you're going to do 3 sets. So herein lies the rub. If you do max safe reps on the first set and use that as your progression indicator, then let's say if you get to 12 reps or 10 reps, you're going to add weight. Okay, then you add weight. So let's say you do 185 on the back off sets. They're going to get harder. You might not be able to hit 8 reps. So my question is, are you dicking the dog? Are you going too light and not pushing them for max safe reps? Or are you using the same weight? Be careful that you don't dick the dog. That means mess off, screw around, fuck off. If doing 185 for 3 sets, great. Pushing the first set for max safe reps, but there's going to be a rate of decay in the amount of reps you perform in that scheme. So ultimately, the other 2 sets are probably going to be close to failure by default, unless you're really lowering the weight just to get random volume in. In that case, you're dicking the dog and wasting your training. Noah, how long is too long to do the same workout for? There's no too long. None at all. There's no downsides. The only downside you run into is if you stop evolving your training based on needs. That's the real key. Like, you've been training barbell rows with 6 reps and you don't like 6 rep ranges. We'll do 8s. So at some point you're going to be evolving your programming. Don't arbitrarily stick to things when they aren't working for you. Alcohol effects on gains, minimal to none. The only thing I'll say is, if your passion for drinking is stronger than your passion for lifting, that's fine. Go be an alcoholic. Go be a drunk. If your passion for pot is stronger than your passion for lifting, go waste 4 hours a day. I don't give a crap. It's your life. Do what makes you happy. But the only thing I'll say is, don't drink a lot the day before a big workout. That's just stupid. Don't be that guy. If you accidentally drink too much, drink some water before bed. That will help. But as far as effects on gains, nothing really. Richard Murray from Scotland. Glad Bill asked the seated press question, as I've had the same back rest, too vertical. It's definitely too vertical if you need to slide under the bar. Any tips on bar grip width? Absolutely. When the bar is right below your chin on a front press, you want wrists about, I don't know if you can see my thumbs, that pretend that's the bar. When the bar is right at chin level, you want wrists above elbows. If you're doing a BTN press, when the bar is right at your lower ear level, then you want wrists over elbows as well. MG254, I get about 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night and train for 2 hours before work. I'm used to it now, but should I switch to a push-pull legs where I get a full night's rest twice a week? Well, sleep is a priority. I would make getting sleep a priority. And I really don't know what you're doing now, so I can't really say, that you should switch to a PPL. 2 hours is a long time in the gym. And I'm not saying it's inherently bad, but, I would like to look at your programming to make sure you're not working out. You don't have too much junk in there, because that's a long time. Pete, have you heard Louie Simmons passed away? Pete, yep, I posted about it last night. I posted about it on Instagram. We've been talking about it live. Absolutely. Sad day. Did you learn any valuable information from him that influenced your own training? A lot of indirect stuff, I would say. Training with chains has really helped my lifting a lot. And if I wouldn't have run into Louie or Westside, I probably would have never considered chains. So absolutely. Andreas, I was watching a video on nucleus overload. Oh my God, my least favorite subject. Worth considering? No. Everybody pretend that crap never exists. It's absolutely useless tool. Look, if you spend 3, 4, 5 years building muscle and progressive overload, you don't have to go in the gym and do this, heroin at, it's it's complete bullshit. I don't care who says that it might give you. It's like 1% benefit at most, and it won't matter over 3, 4, 5 years. It's just complete bullshit. And someone's going to get triggered by it. I know a guy, I used it. It ain't going to make any difference. And it's just a time waster. Of all the tools out there for hypertrophy, this is one of the ones that triggers me the most. Wait. My head's on incorrect. I was thinking about where they do sorry. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I was thinking about where they do the blood flow restriction. Sorry, my head was not on straight. My head was not on straight, and I was talking about blood flow restriction. So I apologize, Andreas. I made a big mistake. I finally made a mistake, but I sincerely apologize. Nucleus overload training is kind of in the same boat. It's a tool, but it's going to be situational. How you approach a lagging muscle group is going to depend on what your programming looks like now. Like, some people will say their rear delts are lagging. Well, then I'll look at their rows, and their dumbbell rows 70 pounds. So we have to kind of look at a big picture when we're analyzing the implementation of tools, if that makes sense. And again, I apologize. For some reason, my brain read nucleus overload as blood flow restriction, simply because, honestly, I get a lot of questions from people on these too. And there can be a lot of hype on these things when they're absolutely not needed. All right, Massive Iron, how's it going? Is your go-to the incline bench, regular bench, or floor? I don't really care. I've done a lot of incline benching over the years. Not my favorite. Floor pressing, I really don't like floor pressing. It's a good variation. I just don't particularly care for it much. So my go-to is regular bench. Nicholas, should intermediates try No, they should not try blood flow restriction. They should forget that crap ever existed. Don't get me started. I already rambled on about it. No. You don't need it, and it's just silly, and it's a waste of time. Is going 50 calories over maintenance and burning the additional 50 by lifting more considering a mini bulk? No, not at all. That's you at this point, like, you're not going to gain any weight, really. I mean, it would take you like way too long to even gain a pound. Don't do that to yourself. Do a quality bulk, one where you're gaining 1.5 to 2 pounds a month. It's not going to get you fat done properly and training properly. But on the other hand, going too much under, it's just going to hamstring your results. Alexander, hey, big hairy ugly dude, how you doing? Good, thank you. I've heard muscles like delts, calves recover faster, so it can handle more volume per week. I have found that my back can handle more volume, that my triceps can handle more volume. I don't feel like my shoulders can handle more volume. And calves tend to be something that if you're training them properly, that they tend to get sore really easily, simply because not a lot of people train properly. So it's honestly with calves, that's going to be a person-to-person thing. I don't see too many people that actually train calves properly to the point where they'll then add volume, if that makes sense. All right, guys, last call for questions. I'm about to hop off. If I don't get any more questions before I move forward, just a reminder, I'm here every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I try to digest a lot, go through questions on here as quickly as possible. And, sometimes Sometimes it sounds, I never want to be short with anybody. And sometimes you get the same questions over and over again weekly. So I try to do everything due diligence and not just breeze past a question. So don't feel like your question's a dumb question. If you're new here, post it up and I'd be glad to help. Last question. Learning Olympic lift solo. Not something like there are lift variations I've messed with, like the clean and jerk and overhead squat and things like that. I think you're pretty safe if you have a space where you can drop the weight. But I would probably practice dropping the weight as well. Justin, LOL, geez. Thanks for tuning in, Justin. Is anyone else seeing this? I am. Did you have a question? Or was YouTube throttling you? I would not be surprised. All right, guys, that's it. I appreciate. Oops, we just had a couple jump in. No, I've been doing the same program for 6 months. Should I switch? No urgent need to switch. You can evolve your training though. Change up a few things, add in a few exercise variations, but there's no urgent need to switch. Adonis, how fast or slow to progress running? As far as distance, what I typically do is add in a Saturday where you try to run at conversational pace, at a pace you can sustain, at a pace that you could talk to somebody that's next to you, and run as long as your energy or drive or will takes you on that Saturday. Thanks, you bet. And Adonis, should you run after weight training? You absolutely can. Now, depending on what you're doing, cutting or bulking, and depending on the length of the run, it might be beneficial to have some simple carbs like 15 minutes before you're lifting. That could be in the form of a Gatorade. You don't want to overdo it, maybe 100 calories. Or something like a honey stinger, which you can get off Amazon. But if you're going to go for a run and you feel a little bit flat, there's room for a little bit of carbs at the end of your resistance training session, and there's really no downside. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll be here every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. If I missed your question, head over to Instagram, @BenTheBarman, and follow me on Instagram. Whoops, watch this. I'm going to show you some magic. Follow me on Instagram, @BenTheBarman, and we'll see you next week. Head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. Sign up for coaching. I'd love to work with you, and we are out of here.